Hi everyone, my name is Rima. I teach art fundamentals at Visual Arts Brampton, and today's lesson is about negative space. And we're going to take our inspiration from a painting by Stella called Pergusa 3, and it depicts on the racetrack that goes around the lake of Pergusa in Italy. Now, Stella's artwork is all about lines and shapes. So when he paints, he doesn't really worry about the meaning in his work. He says, what you see is what you see. So today, Mr. Stella is going to help us see something called negative space. So what is negative space? Negative space is basically anything that surrounds your shape when you're drawing or when you're painting or even when you're sculpting. So let's say I'm drawing a basket over here with some handles and maybe some fruits in there. So where is my negative space? My negative space, let's say this is my frame over here. I know it's a little wonky. My negative space is all the space that is not my basket or the fruit. It's anything that is not in that shape. I'm going to color these in black so we can see them better. So that's all of this is negative space because it surrounds the basket and the fruit. Now this area over here is also negative space, so I'm going to color that too. Anything that surrounds your object that is not the shape of what you're drawing or painting, that is your negative space. All right, so this is my positive space and this is my negative space. It's very important because it's part of your overall design. Okay, so what we're going to do today is a drawing, like I said, inspired by Stella's print of the racetrack. What's really interesting about this particular artwork is the winding shapes of the racetrack and the other geometric shapes around it. So I did this drawing with markers, which you can use. I also use some coloring pencils to add some details and pick out some lines. You can also do the same thing with coloring pencils or crayons. And if you don't have any of these or you just want to do something in black and white, you can use your graphite pencils as well. Okay, so let's start. You're going to need your sketchbook. You're going to need some pencils, coloring pencils or graphite pencils. And the first thing that I'm going to do is to create a small frame for myself. You don't have to use a large sheet of paper. You can use a smaller size paper like that. It's going to take a little while to color and to create those shapes, so it's really up to you. Okay, so I'm going to create my frame by making sure my line is nice and straight. Doesn't matter how big or how small, you get to decide. And just make sure your lines are perpendicular so that your frame doesn't look too wonky. I'm going to start by filling the inside of the frame with a bunch of colors. Like I said, I'm using markers, but you can use whatever you want. The only thing that you really want to do is to make sure that you're using light colors to fill in your space, so that you can draw on top of it and you can still see the lines. Okay, so I'm going to use some bright colors like yellow or orange or pink. It doesn't matter how you use these. Just make sure that you're filling the space evenly. Don't leave any white showing through, and you can overlap your colors. We're just trying to make a fun background for our drawing. And you can see that I'm coloring outside the frame, and the reason that I'm doing that is because I want to make it in the style of the Pergusa drawing, where you can see some of the colors leaching out or coming out of the frame, and I think that's a very nice look. So I'm gonna keep filling my frame with different colors. They don't all have to be the same. Just have fun with it. Do add all the colors that you want. And once you've done that, then you can do the same thing with your pencils. You can take some also light colored pencils and put some in the background as well. Now I'm going to look at my my drawing and decide which direction it's going to go. I think kind of like it this way. Okay, and then I'm going to take a pencil and create those curvy lines that will kind of suggest the racetrack, like in Stella's painting there. Okay. So I'm going to go with a nice curvy line, and then I'm going to do a parallel line, but it doesn't have to be exactly the same shape. And that's my main curvy line over here. And then I'm going to add some other shapes that will help me find and color in negative space. Okay, so now that all my shapes are done, I'm going to look at it and figure out where my negative space is. And that would be the space that is in between those shapes that I have over here. Okay, I kind of want to maybe change this curve before I continue with my drawing. I don't really like the way that it was curving before, so I can do that. And because I'm going to be coloring in the negative space, it's okay to have that mark over here. It doesn't matter because I'm going to be coloring it in. Okay, so I'm going to take my my black marker now, and I'm going to go over the parts that I want to color in black. You can use any marker, you can use a Sharpie, you can use coloring pencils. It all works just fine. And once you start, you'll see how different your drawing is going to look. I can already see how different my drawing looks now because I'm emphasizing the negative space by coloring it in black, and this picks out all my shapes. And this is so much fun to do. You just have to be careful not to go over some lines that you want to keep. But even if you do that, it's okay. You can always change your design. This is a non-representational type of artwork, meaning it doesn't actually represent an object that you're drawing from observation. This is something that you're drawing from your imagination. And so you have so much freedom to change the lines that don't work. Or if you make a mistake, it's never a mistake. It's an opportunity to do something different with it. Always color in small sections. Don't start coloring from one end and then moving to another end. Just color in smaller sections. Make small sections. And then it's much easier to color them. And you can see how different my my drawing looks now. And it's going to look even better once I'm done with it, and I can add some mixed media elements with it. Mixed media is when you use more than one medium. For instance, in this case, I'm going to be using some more coloring pencils because I like the look that it gives me with the markers. Or you can add anything you want to it. You can use paint if you want. Okay, so now that I have all my negative space done, I'm going to set aside my black marker and decide what I want to do with all of these shapes. Now these look nice, but I would like it to be maybe a bit more interesting because I have all those colors that look the same. So I will use my marker to add maybe some color to some parts of the painting, change it around a little bit. And I can also bring in some other items like coloring pencils just to add maybe a bit more interest, just to change some things around. I can also use a pencil or a marker to outline the shapes that I want to outline, just make them maybe a bit more interesting. It's really up to you. I want to see what you come up with. And I can also use some texture in my drawing, just like the print. Or maybe add some lines, just some mark making like in our inspiration. Okay, so this is one example. That's another example that I've done with just coloring pencils. And I can add, and you can see it doesn't have to be black. You can use a different color that's a bit darker or a lot darker than the other colors, and you can practice your blending with coloring pencil. Or if you want, you can just do a black and white version of this type of drawing. Okay, so that's it. Remember to read your lesson. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.